Hello. Good evening, everyone. This is a very last minute live stream, but I wanted to share some things I've currently been working on. So if you don't know me, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and I love to dye yarn. And it's been a while, but we finally updated the ChemKnits Creations Etsy shop with a lot of new lovely skeins of yarn that have come out in videos in the last few months. Now, I often get a lot of questions about what happens with the yarn that I dye in my videos. A lot of it goes into my Etsy shop. And when you buy yarn from my shop, it helps not only make more space for yarn in my house, but it also contributes and supports the content that I am creating here on the ChemKnits Tutorials YouTube channel. And so these are, they're about to go get sorted into the relative boxes. I have bins for like fingering and worsted and sock blanks, and I have it all sorted so that way I can keep track and find things easily when you order. But included in here are a couple of the skeins from this month's dye-along, from last month's dye-along, and from the Dye Pop PS I just released, and more. Also, these that I just finished editing last night. That video won't be out for a while, but yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff. Hello. It's so funny when I see like an ad on my own videos. But the real reason why I wanted to pop in was, yes, on one hand to promote, I updated the shop, but there's something new in the shop, and I wanted to explain what that is. So I will get into what the new lab partner listings are all about. There are two forms. There's lab partner and then last minute lab partner. And I'll explain those in a few minutes. But I guess first, there are still some fingering weight samplers for the 2020 ChemKnits Hanukkah that are available for pre-order. I will be releasing a few more DK slots once I ship out the pre-orders I have already received. I always like to make sure that I have that I underestimate the number of pre-orders that I release at first, so that way, in case there's, like, when I'm winding 100 grams into 10 gram mini skeins, just in case you only get 9 instead of 10 or something like that. So I try to keep track of that. But those will ship end of October, early November. And so we're very on track for the Hanukkah special. But hello, everyone. All right. So what are the new lab partners? So I used to have a listing in my Etsy shop, ChemKnits Creations, called Sponsor an Episode of Dye Pot Weekly. I have decided to rename this because I thought that it was a little bit confusing to determine when someone was sponsoring an episode as an individual, and so they were contributing to the project and getting yarn and shout outs in return, versus when someone was sponsoring an episode for me to share their shop. I wanted to be able to make that significantly clearer when I was sharing something, because I was paid to share it, even though I only accept sponsorships of things that I think are worth sharing with all of you, versus when I like share someone's shop or something because I feel like sharing it. So I wanted to try to make that a little bit clearer. So going forward, individual sponsors are going to be known as lab partners. I still have to figure out like exactly how the language is going to work, but I think that it'll be a lot of fun. And all right. And so I think that it will be a lot of fun. So the lab partner the Dye Weekly Lab Partners, the package still works the same as it worked before. Lab Partners will get multiple shout outs in an episode of Dye Weekly. They can pick the yarn base and tell me some colors to avoid, and then I will design and film a dye-in experiment with the lab partner in mind. And then once the video is edited, then I ship 100 grams of yarn, and there's actually an option to make it 200 grams of yarn through an add-on, so that can, it's a lot of fun to, especially because as I get to know some of you more and more, sometimes I know things and like colors that you like, or if you've ordered yarn from the shop, I can get a sense of some techniques. And so it's really fun to, you know, use some of the little bit of information that you've given me as inspiration for the video. And it's just a lot of fun. Yes, so their lab partner, formerly Dye Weekly sponsorship slots, have been fairly limited, and they have been this year in 2020 selling out pretty quickly. So I have another option that I will talk more about in a moment. But if you ever want a lab partner, if you're interested in becoming a lab partner and that listing is sold out, I do have the listing in the video, or in the video description, but I'll also just drop it into chat. Okay, here is the lab partner. Okay, so I just dropped the lab partner link into chat. If it's sold out, you can message me. I do keep track of a waiting list. And the way my waiting list works is that when I release more slots, then I message people on the waiting list that it's available before like I announce, hey, the slots are open again. So that's been working pretty well. But I'm introducing something known as a last-minute lab partner. And this is slightly different. Normally for lab partners, when you purchase your slot, I then film the video after that. For last-minute lab partners, I've already filmed the video, but I will then film last-minute shout-outs to you to include at the beginning and end of the video. And you still get a choice of yarn base, but you also, for the last-minute lab partners, get to pick the video. And so in the description, I have different videos that are filmed, just waiting to be edited. And so you can bump something up the queue. Whereas I'm now working on, for example, this isn't one on the list, but I'm working on videos right now that I filmed back in April. And I had intended to share earlier in the summer, but sometimes things that I film keep getting pushed back. And so, for example, let's see. I mean, if you read the listing, you can see those spoilers of things that I have filmed, but not yet edited. But when you go in the last minute listing to pick something, in the options, it would say fingering sock. And so that would mean that you would get a skein of sock yarn and then video concept A. So if you wanted to be surprised by the concept of the video, you could still pick a yarn base. But if you go down into the description, you'll see more information about little hints about what the video is, and then even some hints on the color, like if it's warm toned, or sometimes I give an even more specific color. Like I filmed a video playing with the olive brown acid dye, and that's one in there. And the hint is I used olive brown dye. So some of the hints are a little more obvious. So instead of, I guess, in exchange for being able to tell me colors to avoid and me filming it specifically for you, you get a little more information about that technique, which otherwise would be a surprise. And so I have no idea if this is something people would be interested in, but I wanted to make an opportunity for people who wanted to back and support a video in a way that I think will allow me to accommodate more slots. And so I thought it would be fun. And so there's a lot more of those right now. And just because the video is on the last minute lab partner page, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to edit it until there's a lab partner. So there might be videos there that then disappear as I decide, okay, I want to edit this because I want this to come out soon. So I hope that makes some sense. But let me read one of, and I'll go and link to the Last Minute Lab Partner. Okay, and so I'm linking to the Last Minute Lab Partner as well. So one, let's do, which one was that? So one example is, okay, this one is fairly specific. So one example is F, yarn choice. Sometimes I dye more than one skein in the video, and so, you know, I say like, hey, in notes to seller, like, let me know if you want either the fingering sock or the worsted weight 100% wool. And then it says, you know, underneath the I guess that title, the F yarn choice, it says Kool-Aid powder, packets versus tubs. Let's explore speckles and color saturation of each of these cherry drink mixes. So there's a big hint there in the color that you'd be getting and the type of technique and video. Some of the hints are more vague, some are less, but yeah, it really, I guess, lets you pick a video that I have filmed and I'm sort of like sitting on, and for whatever reason, maybe just, yeah, could be bumped up. And so that is something that, one reason why I decided to do this is that sometimes there are video ideas that I have that I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I want to save this for a sponsored, or I mean, okay, I've renamed sponsored videos lab partners. I want to save this for a lab partnered video. And so then I don't film it because I'm sort of saving it for the right combination of the yarn, the base, the colors, and the person, to sort of you know, I'm saving that idea because I think it would be a great one. But then it means that I don't end up filming that video for a while. And so this way, you know, maybe I film that video sooner, but then there's still an opportunity for an individual to support that video very directly and specifically. So I hope that this isn't going to be too confusing. It feels a little confusing in my head. We'll see how this works and if anyone's interested. But yeah, I basically just wanted to share what Lab Partner is, and it's very similar to something that has been around a long time. And the nice thing is that I think all the links on the channel that have said, you know, sponsor an episode of Dye Pot Weekly, those will all go to the new Lab Partner listing in my Etsy shop. But wait, let's just go. Oh, I realized I don't know if I can even pick this up because I'm like attached to I don't even know if you guys can see it, but see, okay, you can kind of see it. It's right there. It's at the top of the page. And there's even a little section for DPW Lab Partner. And in there, you can find the add-on and the 2 different Lab Partner listings. And so, whew, I'm very excited that I was finally able to restock those because I try to, I don't open as many Lab Partner slots as I try to limit the number that I release at any given time, so that way I can be confident that I can film and edit and complete the videos within the time span. Now, I think the range for publication that I've given for this batch of Lab Partner Dye Pot Weekly episodes are, what I think I said, October through February. So it's a big range. So I will always ship the yarn within, I think that the range right now is 8 to 10 weeks for, you know, that's the whole time frame for filming and editing the video, which means that if you were to order one today, you would receive the yarn before the December holidays, but the video may not be published until after the new year. Now, I can't always take date requests, but if there is a specific date you're aiming for and I'm able to accommodate it, I'm happy to try to get close to it. But Yeah, I like to try if I can. It's always fun when I can do. It says August through December. Okay, yeah. So I guess I didn't change one of those. What? Wait, no, that says October. One of them must say. That says October. And does the last minute one say? Wait, I see October. Maybe it's the I'm seeing October through February, unless I had one of October through December. I'm not seeing it. I probably still have the dates wrong. I could potentially still have the dates wrong in, oh yes, okay, in the description it still says August through December. The title has the correct thing. I will go and shift that after the fact. Thank you. Yes, so I will edit that once I am, actually, why don't I do it right now? Why don't I do it right now? Because we are hanging out and I don't want to make sure I forget. This is actually pretty late for me for starting the live stream, but I had back to school night. Back to school night. There's actually tons of, okay, so the last minute one is correct. So it's the other one, the lab partner one, where I did not update. I mean, I'm still working on videos for October, so right now it's very likely that the videos would come out still in 2020. Feb. I cannot spell to save my life. Okay, I have updated that. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, thank you. Ah, I cannot type. All right. So yeah, I'm really excited. And oh man, it's so much fun filming these videos and thinking and hoping that people will like, and then picking my favorite yarn at the very end. I don't know. I mean, I love dyeing yarn, but I also love knowing that the yarn that I create can then go and live its best life, become, you know, a shawl, a wrap, socks, whatever. I am knitting, it's across the way, so I'm not going to grab it right now, but I am knitting with some yarn that I dyed for a dying to knit video. And what else am I working on right now? Oh, I'm finally editing some of the natural dyeing that I did back in April, back when I thought that I was going to do natural dyeing all summer because of all the time that I would have outside, not realizing how busy our driveway and garage would be, because the kids like to spend almost all of their breaks outside biking. So we've been doing a lot of that, which means that having the trying to take over the garage a little bit didn't really work. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I have, you know, this was a big shop update for me. Just like, this is a lot of yarn, but there's probably this much again that of things that are still like in the works that need to eventually make it there. But I'm trying to think what I always love a good neon rainbow yarn mop type thing, but I guess probably my other favorite, and I think depending on what you guys think, I might need to order more of this base. This is the Superwash Slub that I did in the August ChemKnits Dye Along. And I did this in the recap just with the leftover purple food coloring. It is so soft. I have no idea what I would make with yarn like this, but it just excites me so much that I want to order more of it. And yeah, I just think that this one is super duper fun, and it goes My nails are very broken violet tonight. And then I listed this. It made me a little sad to list it, but I didn't know what I would do with it. This was another one of my favorites. This is the entirely synthetic. Oh. I have no idea which section it went in, but this is that nylon acrylic polyester yarn that I am now kicking myself. I realized this was Knit Picks released this as like a limited edition yarn in the big sale in 2018. So I had held on to it for a while. The other thing that I'm excited to start doing for Last Minute Lab Partner is I have a lot of one of various different yarn bases from different companies that I've collected that I want to play with. And lately I've been doing a lot of, well, what used to be Dye Pot Weekly sponsored videos, which are now the Lab Partner videos. And because like I don't want to include like every single possible yarn base I have on hand in there, it means that, you know, it's another reason for me to reach for my favorite bases because they're my favorites and my comfort zone. So this will be another sort of like excuse to push myself into trying more of the yarn bases that I have and playing more with other fiber types. And that is another goal for me for the next year, is to push myself when it comes to fiber content and playing with techniques and seeing what works well, what doesn't work, and things like that. And so I am really, really excited to play around with that. This was an example from a viewer sponsored episode. The sponsor for this one, and this is the second skein from it, she sent me a link to the art gallery of her grandmother. And so I picked one of the paintings and then used that to inspire the colorway. And that was really, really fun. So if you have an idea or something specific, I can't always accommodate requests, but sometimes it fits really well. And, you know, if I'm able to accommodate it and you have an idea that is sort of like the next step on a video I recently published, I am happy to, you know, try to accommodate. But please, if you have an idea or something, please reach out to me in advance so we can chat about it. And so, yeah. The slub yarn is really soft, and with mohair double makes great fabric. You got a shawl and you plan to do a top. Ooh, that sounds really, really fun. Yeah, I just can't get over how unbelievably soft that slub yarn is. And I have more of like the yak base that I used in one video. I want to play with that more. And yeah, I'm at the point right now where, so before most of September, I finished the videos for September pretty close to the beginning of the month or the end of August, because I knew that this month was going to be challenging with the start of school. I have 2 young children, a pre-K, my youngest is in pre-K, my eldest is in 1st grade. And so I knew that was going to be challenging, but now I'm full on like planning for the rest of the year. I mentioned the Hanukkah special earlier. Hanukkah starts, I think, on December 10th. And so every night over Hanukkah, I have a new video that'll come out. There is one more video left to film. One of the full skeins that was an add-on to the samplers. But then I will dive into editing. And then planning like my regular schedule of Dye Pot Weekly, and then either a Dye Pot Weekly or bonus on Friday mornings. That'll keep up. Keep up through the holidays, at least that's the plan. There's always a chance that I'll take a vacation, but that since I'm able, with the kind of content I do, to pre-film and schedule in the future, I have always just published, if it's Christmas or New Year's or whatever the holiday is, still had videos. But yeah, I am very excited for, all the new yarn. Filming is going to be interesting. There will be more. I expect this fall that I'm definitely going to be working on a lot more sort of time lapse followed by voiceover type videos, just because of the reality of attempting to film while Zoom is still happening in the next room. Uh, on some days, it's actually open. Even during breaks, the Zoom is open, and there's like a countdown timer that his teacher has for remote days. So then they can see, like, and then when it's time to come back, she'll ring a chime, and so then they come back to the iPad, which works really well, but it just means that there's always Zoom on, and so you always hear like kids popping in to ask questions. Um, so and so it's fun, and but I dyed the sparkle colorway for. Oh, thank you so much. I dyed the sparkle colorway for Hanukkah on Saturday, and it was just so fun to like get in the groove, and like I was like, ooh. It was really, really fun to just have like a big day of dyeing yarn. And I know I'm probably gonna do like a leftovers and like use up leftover stock solutions and do another big time lapse. It's really fun. Sometimes when I do time lapse or voiceover videos, I take meticulous notes, so then or I film the voiceovers as I go, so then it's very like, you know, this is what's happening. But then sometimes I like to just dye the yarn and then try to film the voiceover after the fact. It's just different, and so yeah, I don't know. I'm just playing with the format and seeing what works and is I don't know. It's all super super fun. Uh-oh. Wait. Yay. Ooh. Oh, thank you. I'm gonna have to say goodbye to this. Thank you so much. What was I gonna say? Pulling up the chat. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh man, do you guys want to see my shawl? I want to get my shawl. And I didn't dye this, but I like, even if it's fake tie-dye. I had a fake tie-dye mask that went along with it today. But I want to show off my shawl. You like to film your dyeing and then voiceover after the fact, but you give yourself notes. Yeah, so sometimes I do a combination of the two and have some notes. But all right, so here is my moving forward knit along shawl, and it is growing. It is growing. I am just about to finish the third section, and okay, so if I'm standing, it goes up to here. So it's probably, I guess, unblocked, approaching 4 feet. It is long. I'm still on the second skein of yarn. I only have 3. And so this is, and as I mentioned, oh no, okay. That was just my center double decrease was looking wonky, but it's not blocked. This is some yarn that I dyed. It is Knit Picks Gloss. So it is 70% merino, 30% silk. The drape is phenomenal. And this is unblocked. It just, like, the stitch definition is so good that the blocking I'm going to need to do is going to be so minor. And it's just this beautiful chevron. It's a knit along with Byron, handmade, and it is so fun. So I dyed the yarn using a layered technique. I dyed the yarn 3 or 4 times, layering red and blue to create this dusty purple. And part of the way that I decided on the color was, and I think I show this in the video. So I did a triangle color exercise with the Jacquard acid dyes. Just the 3 primary colors, just red, blue, and yellow. But I still want to redo this with the cyan, magenta, and yellow to do the triangle and this just a color mixing exercise. But I wanted to start with this purple, but I didn't want the color to be as deep because I like sort of more medium tones to really show off stitch patterns. And then, so oh, was it this one? Oh no, maybe, well, I guess that was sort of where I started. So started there and then did a lighter depth of shade with the total amount of dye that was my goal. But then I think I added more blue after the fact because it was a little more pink. So I took, and I highly recommend doing color mixing exercises. And I mean, I'm not one to do swatch cards, but maybe I'm going to need to because starting there, knowing the recipe, and then sort of going from there to create the color that I wanted was really, really fun because I think that this is a purple I could have achieved starting with a pre-mixed color from either Dharma or Jacquard. But to get the tonal with like the different hues in here versus, but still the total like depth of shade, the total saturation is fairly even across. Unless it's something that really breaks, it could be harder to do that. So I just basically did a tonal colorway over and over and over until I was happy with the coverage and the final color. Ooh, a great maxi dress section. Yeah, I mean, I really want this as a blanket. Like, as I've been knitting, I've been having it just lay across my legs, and I'm like, this is the perfect weight for a throw blanket. I don't know if I really want to make a throw blanket out of like a merino silk blend. And I always love the idea of knit blankets, but look, it's so good for a scarf. But yeah, I mean, I don't actually want to knit a blanket, but I really want to have the finished knit blanket, if that makes sense. So wait, did I see, totally not yarn related, but did I see the new Hollow Taco multi-chrome? Yes, and it is on the way. So this is like a multi-chrome polish that I have on the base, but it is, this isn't that's not a Hollow Taco one, but I've got unicorn skin and scattered Hollow taco on top of it, which I don't think show up. So I just like, oh, you can kind of see the unicorn skin a little bit, but the light is too diffuse. I don't know. I was so excited that I like did a little Hollow Taco inspired manicure. If you guys don't know, there's a YouTuber named Simply Nailogical who started off doing like nail art tutorials, but then does like all kinds of stuff now. And she has her own nail polish line, and I really like it. It makes me happy. So, the Hue Shift blanket by Knit Picks is worth it. I really, really like that one. That is one. Ooh, how much do you need of each of the colors? It would be a huge project. I think I even have the Hue Shift pattern because I think they gave it for free once. That's one that I've been like in love with. But I don't know if I'd love making it because all the like metered squares, right? But yeah, the colors, I don't know if I would get impatient. I did do a tessellated fish Afghan once for my in-laws. And I don't remember how it came up. If my mother-in-law asked me to knit like a blanket for her, or if I offered to. But either way, they do have it like in their like bedroom, like a chaise. And so, yeah. You think that it was 100 grams of 12 colors. Yeah, so I know the Hue Shift is acrylic. And honestly, like for something like that, I would probably prefer to do it in like an acrylic versus like a merino silk just because of wear and longevity. But like this drape is so good. I really love gloss. Really, really love gloss. And yeah, so anyway, I've got that. Do you guys want another spoiler? This is another yarn that I dyed for me. And of course I don't remember what the base is, but I have plans for a hat. You might notice a theme with my colors. But this, I don't remember if it's like, I don't remember what yarn base this is. It's not Big O. It's one of, I don't remember if it's got alpaca or silk in it. I don't remember which one. I mean, certainly I said in the video, but the plan is to make like a hat for myself. And so this was the first Dying to Knit video I ever did. Was he's almost like a nephew to me. I knit a rainbow hat for one of my best friend's sons, and I dyed the rainbow yarn just for him. And so then I did a whole video because I was like, I'm gonna make this yarn for him because he wants a rainbow hat. And you ask Auntie Rebecca for a rainbow hat and you're gonna get a rainbow hat. That's the way it's gonna be. And then he even like had a specific like request for type of pattern. So we're like on, at the time, gosh, was he 4? So we're like on Ravelry showing him different types of patterns because he wanted his ears covered, and it was so cute. And so then I'm like, okay, I'll do Dying to Knit. And then I kept seeing like this hat pattern, which I absolutely must have in my queue somewhere, but I will be sharing the pattern that I knit along with, like I'll link to the pattern when I do it. But so I dyed the yarn because I'm like, I want to make my own version of that. And so this, we'll see how it comes out. My coat is more green than this, but my coat is very like blue green. So that's sort of like, I always have to think about that when I'm picking colors for stuff. But yeah, ooh, these look very nice together, which is good. But yeah, I tend to lean purple. So I filmed this ages ago. It must have been this year, but it could have been this winter in 2020. Certainly it was pre-pandemic. But yeah, so that's probably my next project. I think that I've realized that doing a knit along right now has actually been so helpful for me to just sort of take a mental break and give myself time to like not be thinking about school or work or whatever. And I have to say, I love this pattern so unbelievably much. I don't think it'll necessarily become the next hitchhiker for me, which is another pattern that I've always just loved to have as like okay, I can do this without having to think much about it. But it's just, since with these chevron stripes, the pattern changing is so much fun that I really want to do it again, and I'm not yet done. But I don't it's so like striking that I don't know if I necessarily need to do this again for me, but I love it. And I think I need to check out more of Denise Byron. I hope I'm saying her name right. I want to check out more of her designs because it's stunning. And so, yeah. And I've said, because I had a spinning video come out. I think another plan for over Zooms is to try to spin and then film some, whether I do voiceover or what, but film some spinning of roving I've dyed, but also some of the like Paradise Fibers. And I have some Into the World was another fiber club I used to belong to ages ago, but I still have some of their fiber that I haven't done. Yes, it absolutely feeds my soul. And so sort of scheduling time to knit with having like goals to meet, I found is really, really helpful. So I don't know if we want to I don't know if I have it in me to try to host a knit along. and, to pick like a pattern and then to work on it together or something. But maybe I'll try to find another knit along to join. But I don't know, just having like weekly Zooms with knitting goals has just been really, really exciting. And so, yeah, it's been very good for me, especially like the whole moving forward message and starting everything. But Lucas is such an enthusiastic learner that if I'm going to have a kid hybrid, he's a great kid to have hybrid. So I'm like, okay, now it's like, you finished that. Why don't you do your math workbook? And he goes, yeah, math, which is how you know he's my kid. Used to hand quilt. Oh, I haven't done a quilt in a while. Although I think I spent 3 summers on Lucas's quilt, so I'm pretty slow. But I was machine quilting, not hand quilting. Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to get a loom someday, because I think it's so fun, and the way that hand-dyed yarn can look woven is just a whole other like, wow. But I definitely don't have space. I'm like, do I have any spoilers around? Like, I have right behind here. Good night. Right over here, those are 2 huge Knit Picks boxes, I think, of just Stroll. So I haven't like unboxed them or anything. I have another box over there. It's just, my house is full of yarn. And so I think if I got anything else that was rather large, my husband might then be like, so when are you going to get a studio? Oh, good night, Carol. Yeah. The Beaded Pearl podcast does some amazing loom work. Ooh, I'm in a Rigid Heddle Loom Facebook group, and I just like marvel at what they can create. It is amazing. I've considered trying, so I've been trying to think about, after I do this, I have a hat to finish for Ryder. I have the hat I want to make for myself. Oh, I really want to make socks for Keith for Christmas. Socks feels like a good thing for Christmas. I really want to make him some socks. That's not true. I've made him socks and I've made him slippers, but I haven't done fingering weight socks for him, and he really likes socks. So I think he'd really, really like hand knit socks. But that tends to be pushed back. But I'm half thinking that I might need like a long-term project, but something I can have a weekly goal for. So maybe, I'm not sure if I want to pick up Hexapuffs again for the like beekeeper's quilt, but maybe I should start like a granny square type project or something, as a way to stash bust. And then, or I mean, who am I kidding? I would probably dye yarn specifically for it and not stash bust at all. Ooh, a cozy cardigan. The problem with a cardigan, and one thing I definitely want to dye for, I want to do like a find your fade cardi type thing at some point and dye my own yarn for it. The problem that I have when it comes to doing a sweater or something for myself as like a mindless project is that it's not super mindless. And so, yeah, something, although maybe that is something I should do. And maybe it is finally time for me to bite the bullet and start a sweater for myself. Keith has a sweater. The kids need new sweaters too. They haven't had them in a while. Granny squares are really, really awesome. I mean, and I don't know if it would be more fun to do like granny squares that I connect, or to do like a big granny like stripe, so that I can do like, if I did like, had a goal of a certain number of rows every week. When I did the tessellated fish blanket, I was like, okay, I have to make 2 fish every day. And then I got it done. Yeah, We have no shortage of blankets. We have no shortage of blankets in this house. But I mean, the kids also love pillow forts, so having more blankets isn't a problem. So yeah, that was one idea, but I am open to a lot of things. I love color work, especially like mittens is something that I really love to do. I love just like color work mittens. But that's not necessarily something super like easy to do when I'm focusing on like paying attention to what's going on with my kids' Zoom or whatever. And I also love like beaded lace work, but that was something I did a lot more of pre-kids. So if you're in my Facebook group, ChemKnits Lab, feel free to like share knit alongs that you know that are going to be starting in like mid to late October or something, and tag me in it, because, or maybe I'll start like a thread if anyone knows of any knit alongs happening, because I might need to join some more, because I don't know, it's just been fun like seeing the progress different people are making, and yeah, it's making me want to try to do like Zoom, set up like some kind of like Zoom with you guys, but I've never hosted a Zoom before, so I don't know. I don't know, no promises, but just ideas that have been ruminating. But anyway, I am going to go and probably finish off the section, so then I'll be done with week 3. Yeah, so I'll finish off week 3 tonight, and that's a bit ahead of schedule because I think the deadline is Friday, and so then I can start playing with next week. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in and checking out the shop and hearing about lab partners and just chatting. I always enjoy it. And so when's the next live stream? I guess potentially when I get my Paradise Fibers box. Yeah, the next month we'll have like, you know, a few unboxings and live streams and everything coming up. So if you're not subscribed already, make sure you're subscribed. And thank you so much for hanging out and chatting with me tonight. And oh, it's Thursday, so stay tuned for Friday morning because there'll be a new video. Oh, thank you. Oh, and we had some trolls in the chat earlier, and thankfully I'm now like, I am better at telling, and I'm like, I don't react or respond unless like it looks like that it's legit. So if you ever see trolls, just feel free to ignore them. But they left. So anyway, good night everyone. Goodbye.